was a sunny day in the rooftop garden high. Three flower friends were enjoying their day together. They were sitting in their classroom learning about what was thought to be a fable, humans.
Wow, human ways to get energy are so complicated. I mean, glycolysis? That's pretty complicated.
I still don't understand how there are two different outcomes for glycolysis.
It's because they can both do anaerobic and aerobic cellular respiration. Glycolysis is the process in which one molecule of glucose is broken in half, producing two molecules of pyruvate. The pyruvate then will either begin aerobic or anaerobic respiration. Without oxygen or anaerobic respiration, it is also called fermentation. This can produce lactate, or ethanol, and CO2. With oxygen, or aerobic, they will go through the Krebs cycle and eventually through the electron transport chain. The aerobic produces a lot more ATP or energy, 29 in total. The anaerobic produces only 2. Though aerobic produces more energy, you need to anaerobic as well because fermentation regenerates NAD+ for glycolysis. Nerd.
Weirdo.
Geek.
Okay, but what? Why don't we do that?
I know this one. We do photosynthesis. It's similar. As the end product is getting us energy, our steps are a little different though. We need CO2, H2O, and sunlight to create our energy. Humans need C6H12O6 and 6O2 to produce their energy. Here's what the two look like together.
Yeah, they are pretty similar.
Yep, their equations are almost identical but flipped.
Oh, I get it now. And doesn't the lactic acid fermentation only happen in bacteria and animals?
Yeah, it takes place in the cytoplasm of the cell. Actually, fermentation with lactic acid, alcohol, glycolysis, and all take place in the cytoplasm of the cell.
Then where does the alcohol fermentation take place? They're both fermentation, aren't they?
Yes, but that only happens in yeast and some microorganisms. Glycolysis is more broad. It happens in almost all organisms.
Oh my gosh, why is this so complicated? What about Krebs and the ETC?
That happens in prokaryotic or eukaryotic organisms. However, the Krebs cycle happens in the matrix of the mitochondria if eukaryotic, but in the cell membrane if prokaryotic. It happens in the cristae of the mitochondria if eukaryotic, and cell membrane if prokaryotic for the electron transport chain. Don't forget about ATP synthase either. It helps expand the membrane to allow it to pass through. Hydrogen to pass through.
And you're calling me the nerd, Rose.
Wait, Poppy, you mentioned the Krebs cycle. What is that?
If oxygen is present, then it happens in the matrix of the mitochondria. Pyruvate is broken down into carbon dioxide in a series of energy-extracting reactions.
Doesn't the acetyl CoA bond with OAA and make citric acid?
Exactly. It goes through several reactions and is rearranged to finally make 2 ATP.
Oh yeah, I remember now. Then after that is the electron transport chain. It happens in the cristae of the mitochondria. It uses the high-energy electrons from the Krebs to convert ADP to ATP. That's when there are around 25 ATP made. There's a high concentration of hydrogen ions in the ATP. It's used to help power the synthase of the ETC to combine with pyruvate and ADP to make ATP. It's the reason why the Krebs cycle functions and helps strip citric acid of other high electron energy.
Wow, we're so smart. Isn't there a cycle like that for us plants?
Yeah, it's called the Calvin cycle. It's when light-dependent reactions cannot store long-term energy. CO2 enters the system, and Rubisco, an enzyme, combines with 6CO2 and 6RUPB, which is 5 carbons. This is a carbon fixation from inorganic to organic. The carbon compounds are rearranged to produce 18 ADP, 12 NAD+, and 1 glucose.
Honestly, I am not the nerd here.
All right. Good discussion today. Class is dismissed for lunch.
Yay! I'm really tired. We need some more energy. I'm in the mood for water.
You mean H2O?
Yeah, nerd. It's a vital part of photosynthesis anyways.
Along with CO2.
Well, yeah, we also need light, though.
Just like my future. It's already so bright.
Shut up!
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. That's weird. My water doesn't taste normal.
It's probably fine.
I'm serious, guys. It's weird.
You're fine, Poppy. Now we need some light. Light is necessary for energy. I feel so much better now. We are dependent on that light to make sure we get the energy we need.
I'll get some crayon. The main reactions that are light dependent are H2O and light energy. Then we produce out H2, O2, and ATP. Our ATP can't be stored, so we have to use it right away.
My chloroplast feels so great right now. I feel so much more energized.
Did you know that not all autotrophs do photosynthesis, and not all are light dependent? It's mostly bacteria, but they produce H2 and C6H12O6 from their reactants, CO2, ATP, and enzymes. They do this for a long-term energy storage and will make glucose. It occurs in the same place, though. There is a high concentration of hydrogen ions that are used to make ATP, also known as chemiosmosis. The hydrogen ion combines with NADP to make NADPH, which is important because NADPH and ATP are used to store our chemical energy for light-dependent reactions. That's why oxygen is released during photosynthesis.
Hey, did you know that I don't care?
Ouch. That hurts right in the stem.
I wish our systems were as simple as humans. How do we OTRE? Well, there's a light energy that can be absorbed by chlorophyll, which is found in the chloroplast. The light energy is used to convert carbon dioxide and water into glucose. The water is absorbed through spongy mesophile tissue of our leaves. The water is absorbed through our roots in the soil. We release oxygen as a byproduct.
Yep, the xylem tissue delivers water from the roots to the leaf, and the phloem tissue transports the glucose away from the leaf. They form vascular bundles in the plant.
The gas exchange allows carbon dioxide to diffuse into the spongy mesophile cells and for the oxygen to diffuse out.
To get the mesophile cells inside the leaf, the gases diffuse through small pores called stomata. They open or close to control the loss of water from the leaf by the process of transpiration. The guard cells prevent anything from getting in the plant that should not.
So to sum it all up, the roots absorb the water, the folia are the vessels that transport sugar, the xylem transports water and minerals, the stomata are tiny holes in the skin that control water loss and gas exchange by opening and closing, and the guard cells make sure that there is nothing that gets in the plant that shouldn't be there.
Guys, I'm not really feeling so good.
What's wrong?
I feel really tired. I think I'm gonna...
Is he napping? He's a pretty heavy sleeper. There's no O2 being released from him. He's dead! No! He can't. Dang it! I can't believe someone at our school would poison Poppy. He was such a decent flower.
Yeah, whoever did it, they didn't do it on purpose, though.
Probably. We have to do some investigating.
Well, it could have been on accident.
Considering we live in a rooftop garden, I doubt it.
Rooftop gardens are good for the environment. But considering we're in a separate space than pollutants and most predators, there's no way someone could accidentally give a poppy poison without poisoning the rest of us.
The gardener maintains very good care of us, so there's no way he would do it. These gardens provide oxygen to the environment and produce more leafy greens and pretty flowers for the world.
The only problem with rooftop gardens is how hard for water drainage, since the roof is a flat, along with how it can be relatively expensive to maintain.
Since we're not down near the streets, it's very unlikely that we had any runoff from the streets, such as oil that would poison him.
I mean, at the rooftop garden, we actually absorb the carbon dioxide from the air, reducing pollution. So polluted air isn't a huge factor in it either.
So it has to be one of the plants that did it.
We really need to keep making rooftop gardens to help our environment. It's one of the few good things humans can do to impact the environment.
I wish that Eddie could tell us more about the benefits of rooftop.
I can.
Eddie, you're alive.
Not really.
No.
I'm a ghost.
Eddie the plant's a ghost.
But Poppy, please tell us, how do rooftop gardens relate to cellular respiration and photosynthesis?
Well, as you mentioned, us plants absorb lots of the CO2 in the atmosphere. That helps reduce pollution, which is helpful for the humans and allows us to produce more photosynthesis.
Wow.
Conversely, we produce CO2 for the humans, which allows them to produce more CO2 for us. When they get their O2, they can do more cellular respiration. These processes give us energy so we can breathe and get energy and all live.
Yeah. What would you know about living? 'Cause you're a sneaky ghost.
You don't even have to
And you're
photosynthesize.
dead.
That's very true.
Well, this type of garden is good for oxygen and carbon cycles. However, it is pretty bad for water. Since there are the flat roofs necessary for gardening, it doesn't give us very good drainage for runoff. Water may collect on the roof, which can affect the water cycle.
Is that why the water Eddie used didn't work?
No,
Question mark?
but it could have been. The water on the roof would definitely be tainted. But we're missing the big picture. Why did you die?
I was poisoned.
Oh no.
Dun dun dun!
By whom?
Let's look for evidence. Poppy, let me see your water bottle.
Here.
Hey, how'd you pick it up? You're a ghost. There's some sort of syrup on it.
That's not any weed killer or syrup. That's sunflower weed killer.
That means it was Mr. Sunny.
Well, now we know how it happened.
Oh well, now there's more CO2 in water for us.